Hello, 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 beautiful souls. It has been quite the journey for me to no longer feel guilty, trusting my spleen, trusting my body. When I do feel to go live or, show up, my body is exactly saying when it's time. So I'm no longer feeling guilty. It's like I was in this masterclass a couple of weeks ago, and there was this beautiful mentor who is also a projector, and she kind of permissioned me to following this. And as projectors, we are doing things differently. So I'm adjusting to that, like embodying, integrating all these new ways of truly being me even more, which means that I'm 1 hour and 20 minutes later than what I have communicated with you all. And if you're not here live, then you can, of course, watch the replay, which will be on my account. And the beauty of that is that you will be portaled back into this now moment to receive these codes and to receive this transmission. How awesome is that? It's beautiful, right? So how is everyone doing today? How is everyone feeling? Happy Love Day. I would always forget that. It's Valentine's Day. Happy Love Day to everyone. That you yourself may be your greatest lover. Loving yourself, loving your body, loving your soul, loving your mind, your beautiful mind, your heart. Everything that's you, and even beyond what you can see, what you can feel, what you know to be true. Because we are truly multidimensional beings. So there are so many versions of us, right? We constantly shifting into new timelines every second. We are aligning ourselves with a different version of Earth. And every one of us is actually anchored in a different version of Earth. Yeah, this is really what I love most, talking about this and exploring this and unpacking this. But that's not what this life is about. Because in this life, I would like to unpack that we receive beyond what we say no to. And the power of saying no. Like most of us, we are not used to say no, right? And it doesn't matter for what reason, that's the programming. It's the false codes that we all have been imprinted with. Not only us in this physicality, but also our ancestors. It's within our lineage. It's like generation and generation and generation. And we are the ones, when we are choosing, that can dissolve these codes and clear this from the grids. So it's very powerful when we start to play with that and start to play with these codes, right? So it's challenging. And most of the times it's because we are people pleasers, right? We wanting to please other people, so we just say yes. We are afraid to say no to disappointing other people, or that other people won't like us anymore, or won't love us, or don't want to be with us. And then there's also a lot of souls and humans including myself, who are high achievers. And when we are high achievers, it's also very difficult to say no, because we kind of like saying yes to everything. The more, the better, right? But that's not how it works. So saying no is also very challenging for high achievers. That's what I'm seeing in the work that I do with my clients and within my own journey. Another one is savior codes. So wanting to save others. So when we see something, when we are witnessing something, and someone is requesting help, assistance, support, maybe just a question. And even though it's not in our highest alignment, or we cannot even do it because we are busy, how often have you said yes anyway because you wanted to save that other person? And that's actually one of the worst things that we can do, because when we're coming in from the savior perspective, we are taking all the power away from the other person, because immediately we ourselves are placing us higher than the other person, because we think and we feel we know better, because we can rescue, we can save the other. So there's already a misalignment. We're no longer equal. And like I said, we're taking the power away. It's up to the other person. So yeah, there are many reasons why we are saying yes whilst we should be saying no. Another example is that we are not in touch with our body. We're actually not listening to our body. And that has been a really beautiful and at times intense journey for myself, because just a couple of years ago, I was really disconnected from my body, and my soul was never even in my body. That's when we carry a lot of trauma. Most people are never really truly embodied, soul embodiments. And when that's the case, we often cannot even feel how our body is communicating to us and with us. So for me, for example, as a projector, but also in co-creation with my Council of Lights and with my beautiful guides, like it's my spleen that I immediately know it's a yes or no. I just know, I know. But here's the thing. If I'm not present in the now moment, I miss the sign. I just miss it. And that's when I'm not feeling my body. So for me personally, but I feel it's important for everyone. It's important to be embodied in our bodies, that our soul is embodied, that we're connected with our hearts, that we are navigating from the heart space in coherence with our minds, because it's truly about mind and heart coherence. And then we will feel the whispers of our soul. We will feel our body communicating with us. We simply know. So yeah, the detachment from our body, another one. Indeed, why it's difficult to say no. So we'll receive beyond what we say no to. I was introduced to that by one of my beautiful mentors that I worked with last year, Gabby Kowalski, and she spoke about that quite a lot. And yeah, that was like, I was receiving that. It was like, yes, yes, yes. And still, it's a journey to embody that. It's one thing to hear something and to know something. It's something else to really embody it and to feel it in our hearts. To truly know it to be true. And to then start to live by it. And what does it mean that we receive beyond what we say no to? Another thing that she often mentions, which is very powerful to me, is that And now I lost it. It's not our frequency is our currency, although that's also something I'm very powerfully co-creating with. It will come back or it will not, and otherwise I will drop it in the text with this video for you that you can read it. But yeah, let's look back to we receive what we beyond what we say no to. Because what I would like to do is, there it is, it's back. Another thing that she often mentioned is that we get what we tolerate. And these are going hand in hand, right? We get what we tolerate. So if we do tolerate that people are treating us disrespectful, or that's yeah, just that alone, when we tolerate that, then that's what will be present in our fields. Then that is also what keeps appearing over and over again up until we set those boundaries. It's enough. No longer. So I would like to give you 3 examples of me saying no to things and how that shifted my fields, and sometimes instantly within the hour. And that's actually the first example that I would like to start with. I was in a container, I'm still in that container, and there were practices. And for months already, I was co-creating with this beautiful soul, and I love her so much. And in December, I started to feel that it no longer felt in alignment for me to continue these sessions. Whilst, it was also practice for me, of course, because I was also in the container, but I kind of also felt like, I don't think I will finish it in that sense. So it no longer felt aligned. And December was quite an intense month. A lot was shifting. I moved from Holland to Loom, and it was very unstable, unsettling, and I wasn't always in my fullest alignment as I still was recalibrating and grounding here in this new life, community, grid. And I was feeling a lot of things. There were actually in December 3 things that no longer felt in alignment. I'm going to speak about all 3 things. But now I was referring to this specific instance of practicing together. So what happened was that one day to another, I just dropped a message. It doesn't feel in alignment anymore and I want to stop. Just in a message. It was actually kind of rude because it was not really considerate. I was just like, okay, this is my flow. I'm going to act on my flow because this is my highest alignment. So I was not recognizing the other beautiful soul, which I had such an amazing time with as well. And this is often where it's going wrong in my perception when we fully are making it about ourselves. But hey, my flow, my ascension, my, that's awesome. That's great. And I'm all for that. But when we step into the leadership and when we step into really being that goddess, priestess, queen energies, we also still recognize the other person, so we navigate it differently. We always respect the other person. So I didn't do that. And that kind of placed something in the field, in the quantum, between us that was not a lekker energy. So I felt bad about it because I could immediately feel I didn't handle that correctly, and I felt really bad about it and I felt guilty about it. So I went back after a couple of days and I felt I had to explain myself. And I'm learning that's really a thing also for projectors. We over explaining ourselves. So so much deconditioning still needs to happen. Anyway, this was 2 months ago. So past version of myself. Anyway, we had a conversation. It was quite a beautiful, long call. And then we decided, let's continue. Let's, until the end of Feb, continue with these sessions. And it was a beautiful co-creation. It was like giving and receiving in a way, although yeah, it was giving and receiving, although for me it started to sneak in that I felt seen, I felt acknowledged, I felt recognized, but still it was no longer in alignment for me. So yeah, we continued. And then just last week, it was actually already, I think, 1 or 2 weeks prior to that, I started to feel like, oh, I want to stop. I really want to stop. My body was telling me like, no, 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 no. So many no's. And then I was feeling into my body, and I was, of course, remembering what happened in December. And then I was like, but I need to honor what I'm feeling. I really don't want to continue with this. But I learned from my behavior in December. So if I knew one thing, it was that I had to navigate this with more love, with more compassion, and with more respect. So what I did, I again sent a message and shared the message like that it no longer felt in alignment for me to continue the sessions, and yeah, that I just wanted to place that in our field, and that I'm of course open to chat about this and XYZ. But I really felt like, yeah, that's kind of it. And yeah, then it took a couple of days for the other beautiful soul to respond. And for me, that was taking a little bit too long, because I was like, yeah, what do I need to do now, right? So I already removed it from my calendar, and then also dropped a message like, I didn't hear from you yet, and that's fine, but I just deleted our session from my calendar. That's also for me, just business-wise, that's yeah, I need to clear that then from my schedule. And then I received a response, and I was so grateful for the response, because of course, I now navigated it with love and with respect. I also received a beautiful response back that I was feeling fully seen and acknowledged and recognized and respected in my decision and in what my body was feeling, and in my sacred no, because I was saying a sacred no, right? And oh, that felt as such a big relief and release, and I could just feel my field opening. Like, it was like, whoa, I've been like carrying this for like 2 months, since December, almost 3 months, 2.5 months, and I was really blocking the flow of receiving everything that was available, because I was holding on to something old that I actually felt that was no longer in alignment. But because I loved that soul and I also liked it and all these things, I kept holding on to it. But my team of guides, my counsel, my spleen, my body was already telling me in December, no, and I didn't honor it. So now, like, we both like, yes, and I was so happy. And then the most amazing thing happens, because within an hour, I kid you not, within an hour, I found a new home. And I was looking for a new place, and nothing was really coming into my field, nothing to my liking. So I actually was like, okay, then it will be March that I find something. And then something popped up, and I contacted the owner, and within 2 hours I was there visiting the place, and now I'm living here. I'm sitting here. The next day I moved in. So by me saying that sacred no, in love, in compassion, with respect, with recognition for the other, and therefore also for myself, the field was doing this. And I was like, whoa, this is mind-blowing. But of course, this is how the quantum works. This is how it works. And then something else unfolded, which I'm even more grateful for, because of that sacred no. I also created more spaciousness in my fields to put more time and effort and energy and pleasure and passion and everything that I love in one of my other containers. And guess what? Here's the most beautiful thing of all. The beautiful soul that I said the sacred no to is also part of that container. So now I'm no longer serving her in one-to-one, but I'm holding a space where much more souls can coming in, and where we can learn and grow and unlearn together, where I can still hold the container and the energetics, where I can still co-create with this beautiful soul. But again, can you feel the spaciousness? So since that appeared in my field, I was like, oh my gosh, I really need to honor the sacred no's much more, because each no is opening so many more new doors and so many things that are laying dormant in our field. Because remember, everything already exists in the now. Everything is here. Everything that you imagine, everything that you dream about, everything that you envision, once you can think about it, you can first of all feel it. And once we get to that momentum that we not only can like envision it, visualize it, think it, but also really feel it, we becoming magnetic to call it in. Because everything again is in the here and now. It's a frequency game. It's about if we are in resonance with that frequency. And this container, which is my English Healy team, this container I wanted to expand already since December. I had plans in December to really I started with a board apps, I started with a welcome pack, all these things. I started anew because I had those things, but there's a new energy, my upgrades that all needed to be replaced. And I started with that, but I never finished it. It was a work in progress, but I didn't shift into that version of myself. And that was because there was something still in my fields which was no longer in alignment. And there were actually three people. And also what I learned from one of my mentors is that each client that we are working with, which is not soul aligned, is taking up space for 8 clients that are soul aligned to come into our fields. So one person that we feel that's no longer in soul alignment, and that doesn't mean maybe it's no longer in soul alignment for a one-on-one, but maybe still for a group, right? But is taking up the space for 8 other beautiful people to come in. So I also remember that, and it's oh wow, that's very quantum leap when we start to honor these things, when we start to remember those things, and when we are activated in those things. And then the embodiment, it's whoa. So not only did I find a new home within a day, I also now am full on this beautiful Healy container and journey, expanding, building with so much passion, with so much pleasure and joy and love, and still being able to co-create with this amazing soul. So yeah, can you see how powerful, liberating the sacred no was? And it took me 2 months to get there, because it was already present in the field in December. So let me go to the second example, because I've got 3 for you. And the second one is also very interesting. At least I find that very interesting. So a second example that I would love to share just stabilizing the field is related to a co-creation. And that co-creation was already in my field for months. And I really felt very strongly about this co-creation. And I was yes. But every single time there was also guidance, like, okay, is it not too soon? Is it not too soon that you are like getting into this co-creation? And is the other soul also ready for this co-creation in this now moment? Because sometimes we can see something and we can want something, we can desire something, we can see the potential in something, but maybe the other is not ready yet. And that doesn't mean that it's a no forever. It does mean it's a no for now, but a yes perhaps for later. And that was something that I kept running into, because it was not really going in flow all the time. And for me, in this specific co-creation, there was one part which was going really beautifully, and there was another part which was more challenging for me, where I often felt disrespected. I feel completely recognized by this soul, absolutely 1,000%. But there's a difference still between the recognition and respect. And there were many instances that I didn't feel respected, and that was a returning pattern for me. It was a returning loop that I kept feeling like, and that's reflected, for example, in things like having scheduled a meeting, having scheduled like to do things together, like online or whatsoever, and then cancellations. And for me, like when I co-create with people and I welcome them in my space, and I welcome them in my beautiful queendom, Nishanti Dayawati Global, and within the Goddess Rising Collective, or the artists, any of my mentorships or programs. Of course, I do have expectations, because it's my baby, it's my queendom, and I've got a vision, and I know I'm directed how to navigate that vision. So I also learned that it's absolutely okay to have these expectations when it's coming to entrepreneurship and when it's coming to business. And for me, what I learned, because this was also a learning curve for me, of course, what I learned is that I really first of all, I really desire to work with people that are already fully anchored in their leadership. And what do I mean with that? Is that for me, it's important that people show up no matter what. Unless it's deep trauma healing, of course, or unless you're sick and something happens, of course. But otherwise, we show up. We park our shit. We recalibrate our field in whatever way we need to do that. Like just before I jumped online here, I was dancing, I was shaking, I was doing some breath work to just come in the energy to show up live. So we do whatever we need to do to show up. And that's something that I also need in terms of how I know that I navigate. So I kind of need to be able and know that the people that I co-create with in that way are reliable, are like showing up no matter what, are there. And trust me, like we all go through our things, and sometimes it's really intense and heavy on a daily basis. It's no different for the coaches and mentors that I work with, but they always show up. And it's one thing to show up later, which I'm learning now as a projector to honor that, but I still show up. It's another thing to just cancel. For me, that was like, So this was something returning, and the both of us went through a beautiful journey, and I love her so much. But this was something that kept returning, and I kept feeling in doubt. Like I never, there were times that I felt a full body yes, and there were times that I was like, and that that kept returning. It didn't anchor into yes, this is it, like full body yes. And even though we went through the most healing, beautiful, empowering, inspirational journey where the both of us like went through a massive expansion in December, in Jan I put up somehow boundaries in terms of like no, and that's also because it's in regard to my business, my sacred containers. And again, that for me is different than, for example, within a friendship or with my clients. That's different. It's different. So yeah, my boundaries were there, and I still fully like, yeah, it is what it is, and I'm still super 100% believe and feel that it's absolutely divine, and standing still behind the boundary that I put up mid-Jan. And then in the past couple of days, something else was unfolding again, where I felt really disrespected once again. And so a lot was present in the field. I again didn't respond back in my highest alignment. So a version of me showed up, which was not a version that is aligned with the timeline where I normally play with this beautiful soul. We play in really high vibe timelines, and I responded from a lower timeline. And that kind of did that in our quantum field. And the most beautiful thing happens. And it is one of the greatest gifts for me. It has been one of the greatest gifts. Because of that unfolding, she also felt to put up her boundaries. And that's exactly what I needed. Because I was intending and trying to change certain dynamics already since December, and I couldn't. I was doing this and then this and this, and it was never like, but it was a push and a pull and a push and a pull. And there were, because we are multidimensional beings, there were parts of me that also showed up in our relationship that were sometimes, like I mentioned, coming from lower timelines. And there is actually where she had to put up her boundaries to also no longer tolerate that behavior from my side. And again, that's the greatest gift she could gift me. So grateful for that. And since that happened, that was over the weekend, I guess, since that happened, I felt so many codes dissolving from my field, just like with so much ease, with so much flow, with so much love, like just dissolving with a lightness, with a playfulness. I felt so many timelines collapsing, like insane, like just collapsing. And then when we both recalibrated back in the grids that we normally play in, we find each other, because it's not that I do not love this soul anymore. There's just still, each time we are clearing, we are transcending, we are working in the quantum field, and are human. Sometimes I wouldn't even say we do stupid things, but sometimes we do things that are not the smartest thing to say or to do, and then we are more in action modes instead of responding. And that's what happened in my response to her. So here the respect was also a topic again, and the respect has been a returning thing. So what happened was interesting, because I did not feel respected by certain things, and then I also responded in a not respected way back to her. And this is actually where we recalibrated, and we did this again, which is fantastic. And this was a sacred no in some aspects of the co-creation. There are still many co-creations happening, but there are certain aspects where it's a sacred no. And I honor that so much because it feels so good. It feels so liberating. It feels so free. And once I accepted that, again, once I accepted that, once I set that boundary, and that was for me mid-Jan, once I accepted, okay, this is not what I envision is not gonna happen, and I also cannot expect that. So like, yeah, it's fine. I downloaded a complete new program. So again, a sacred no to the one thing, and the universe immediately responds with another thing. It's amazing. It's truly amazing once we start to learn to play with this and to, again, feel our bodies. My gosh, like instantly things are happening. So that sacred no also shifted a lot. And with this specific example, it's the perfect example for me that sometimes there's a sacred no for certain aspects, but other aspects are still present in a yes. Sometimes it's a sacred no for certain aspects. For this now moment, right now, it does not feel an alignment for me, personally. That doesn't mean I see so many future timelines where the alignment is there. So it does not mean that that's not going to change in near future timelines or further in future timelines. So this is why it's important to always stay open-minded without any judgment and being open to receive. Again, like flowing, but the word for me really has been respect, with the respect. And on that, I actually would love to dive a little bit deeper on the topic respect, because the respect has been so present for me since December, since these instances with people where I also not always responded in a way that I envision to respond in my highest alignment. Something else unfolded here in the past couple of weeks in Tulum, and it was me who again, I got stressed about something, and I didn't respond respectful to someone else, and completely actually forgot to message this wonderful soul, and she was expecting me. And if I look back, like some people have told me, like from a very young age, since a teenager, that they perceived me as quite selfish because I always was doing what the fuck I wanted. I've always done that. So like you can ask the people that I went to university with, they never knew if I would pitch up, because I would really be like, yeah, I don't know, like if I feel it I will be there, but if I'm not, I'm not. Like I live in the moment, so I try to live in the moment as much as possible, although I was not really connected with my body back then, but still I was very unreliable in that sense, and I was always just doing what I wanted and not really in a way respecting others and recognizing others in their being. Sometimes they were expecting me, sometimes there was like a hard agreement, like to show up, and then I wasn't there. And sometimes, most of the times, it was quite loose. I always felt, I can remember as a teenager and also in my 20s, I always felt like when it's a one-on-one, I'm meeting one-on-one with a friend or family member, then I either show up or let you know that I'm not showing up. But as soon as it was a group, and as soon as it was involving more people, I was really like, it doesn't matter, there are other people there. So then I was like, I'm just flowing with my flow. And I'm all about flowing with our own flow and following what we feel. But again, it's just that's again, it's the word respect. And this beautiful instance that happened in Tulum recently, again, so grateful for the people and the beautiful souls in my life, because the relationships that I have with people, even though some of these souls I barely know, they're all coming new, right, into my life, especially here in Tulum. she was just very honest and straightforward with me, and I received a couple of messages like how she perceived this and how this was for her and how she was feeling and all these things, and I was like, whoa. So it was because of that I actually have been recalibrating and dissolving and really upgrading so many of my experiences where I myself felt disrespected over and over again. And here is why and how, and this is so important, so important. So please listen with an open heart. As soon as we feel something, so for me it was like feeling disrespected, not by one person but in many more occasions. As soon as that keeps appearing in my field over and over again, it often also means that I am still carrying that behavior in my field. Only once I dissolve it in my field, I will no longer attract those situations. The mirror, right? So I know now that I'm dissolving this, and the initiator of this is this beautiful soul in Tulum that just called me out on my shit. And that was exactly what I needed. Because of that, I was able to no longer tolerate certain behavior of people in my co-creations. I was seeing it so clearly. It was so clear. So again, thank you. And yeah, I'm gonna repeat this one more time. When we feel something in our field, when we see a returning pattern popping up over and over and over again, and this is not the desired state, how we want to experience life, it often means that we are still carrying these codes and that behavior in our fields. So as soon, we cannot change the other, remember? As soon as we starting to decode and uncondition ourselves and transcend and alchemize and let go of these codes ourselves. So what I mean with that is stop the behavior of putting myself like, oh, I'm in my flow and this is what I'm feeling, and oh, it's all about me, so I don't need to, like, I honestly forgot about contacting her, but still, it was just like, it would take like 10 seconds to just send a message, I'm not coming, that's all. And then the next day I could elaborate when I would be in a better energy again. It's that. So it's that awareness, like when we want to be treated with respect, we of course need to treat others with respect. When I want to be recognized for what I do, it starts by recognizing myself, but also others in what they do. It's like constantly self and embodying that. So embodying how I respond to others, that will dissolve all the experiences that I actually didn't want to have in my field. I trust that this makes sense for you. And if you do have any questions on this, then please drop them in the comments when you're watching the replay, or send me a DM, because I would love, like, if there's any interest, we can unpack this more. There's one more example that I like to unpack though, and that was a potential client, and this was also December. So can you see the pattern? That's all these things did not feel alignment for me in December already, and it's only now in the recent days and weeks that the sacred no was being vocalized. So this also, it's actually showing you to give yourself the time. Beautiful soul. Give yourself the time. It's a journey. And sometimes when we desire something, or when we feel something, or when we it still needs some time to integrate it, to embody it, and then to take the soul aligned action. So we can push it, which I've been doing many, many, many times in the past, but it's not working. And with these 3 examples, the third one is going to be shared just now, you can see that it was a journey of about 2.5 months before the sacred no was fully like, and the boundaries were there, yay, but in a beautiful way. So yeah, the third one is a client example, and this was a really painful one. This was an example that really, really, really hurt my heart. This was something that I knew at one stage could potentially happen, but I never expected it to unfold in this way. And this was something I felt very sad about, and at the same time I completely get it. So there's no judgments, there's no hard feelings there. It's all okay, it's all okay. But in this specific instance, it was a beautiful, beautiful soul that I know for many, many, many years. And in the past couple of years, our relationship has changed quite a bit. And yeah, I'm learning now, of course. I know I knew that already, but I'm learning it kind of the hard way, that as a projector I need to wait for the invitation. But often this is the most difficult with family and with friends, because we see that they are in pain, we see that they are hurting, we see that they are in suffering, and here my savior codes, my rescuing codes, like all the wrong codes are surfacing. And last year I've really been working with my mentor on the deconditioning of savior codes and rescuing codes. They were really present in my field. I had very strong rescuer codes in my field, and also savior. Anyway, I'm going on a little treasure. But yeah, so in this instance, these codes were present. But I just wanted to help. I know exactly what needs to happen, and I know I can support and guide in this. I know what, I see the infinite timelines that this beautiful soul is just thriving, and the pain is in the past, and it's no longer carried with in the backpack. I can see it, I know it, I can feel it. But yeah, everything in divine timing. And yeah, I perhaps, not perhaps, like I was pushing it, and we had a few beautiful get-togethers, and I did offer something to work together, and I never felt that prior. That was the first time that it felt aligned for me to actually suggest something. And in previous years, I never felt it, because I always could feel, no, it's not soul aligned. And now I felt like, yeah, no, I can do this. And yeah, it's just a matter if she is ready, yes or no. And we had so many chats. And yeah, I honestly believe as soon as my body and my counsel is saying, yes, this is aligned, yes, then it doesn't matter. Then I go into the journey, and I always trust that if the soul is choosing to not co-create with me and step into one of my containers, journeys, or mentorships, then that the codes that have been shared in these meetings that we had will serve them, so that's exactly what they were needing in that specific moment. Meaning that maybe they go to someone else, or maybe they come back, of course, completely okay. So yeah, that was for me really a big one. And like the step to say yes was just too big. That I could feel that too. I honestly could feel that too. And I also respected that in that moment, because I could feel it and I vocalized it. I was like, like, yeah, it's not aligned for this now moment, and even though I can see XYZ, it's still not aligned. And she also felt that the step was too big right now, and that's okay. I accepted that with pain in my heart, but I accepted that. That's okay. But, and here is also where this is the pushy part, where I I can leave out the perhaps, I know this, where I kept pushing, especially as a projector. So that was a sacred no from her side and from my side, because I could also feel it was no longer soul aligned. It's right now, it's no longer soul aligned. And back then, because the step was too much to say the sacred yes or the full body yes, it was also not aligned, right? So what happened though is that because of the relation, and here again, this is the tricky part with family and friends, and for me it's more friends than family in that case, because family I've been able to let go and no longer wanting to save or rescue. But like, because of that, I still had these codes activated in my field. They were still active, even though I dissolved a lot, there were still some codes active. So there were like many things flowing through for me. So yes, this was like not in alignment, but then I had another idea, and like I was like, oh, maybe that's it. But I waited to pitch that idea. So first I just sent some messages to check in as a friend, to like, okay, how are you doing now? Because a lot, like just in the transmissions that we had before the sacred no, I know that that's already so much shifting in people's field, because there are these time shift calls, they have a lot of impact. They can shift your whole world. So I just checked in with her, like, okay, how are you feeling, how are you doing? No reply. So then I sent another message, because I was a little bit worried in a way, like I know how powerful energy can be and energy work can be. So again, no response. And here it started to kind of nag on me. And here I felt like, okay, this is not okay. And here I started to feel really, really disrespected. I started to feel not seen. I started to feel really, really not recognized for me in who I am, for me as my beautiful soul, for me in my work, for me in all the chats that we had and all the energetic work that was done, all these things. And then it was also a combination of like what I just mentioned. So here it started to nag, and then I couldn't let it go. And back then I should have let it go, but I couldn't, which is my mistake, which is my learning curve, of course. So then I sent, after messages sent, after voice noise sent, then I was like, let me just email. So I sent an email with the download that I received and the suggestion. And of course this was not invited, so I should never have done that. But again, that was a past version of myself. So she knew, but she didn't know better. And I even mentioned in that email, I would really appreciate and I would really value to receive a response. And guess what? I never ever received any response. And for me, that was just it. I felt so heartbroken. I felt so like so sad. This did a lot with me, and I was just like, wow, okay. And of course, energetically and as a soul and as an infinite being and as my multidimensional self, I know exactly what's happening. I can see it, but I'm also human. And my human doesn't want to be treated like that. My soul absolutely doesn't want to be treated like that. Even though on soul level, I can see what's happening, because what's happening is something energetically. Like I'm playing in a different grid. I'm playing in a different playground. I'm anchored in a different version of Earth, and this is what's happening when we are ascending and the people around us are not ascending with us. Either they're not going as fast as we are going, and there's no good or wrong, but then we sometimes just grow apart, right? Or we're shifting into other grids, which is also completely fine, or they're not moving at all, and this is then what happens. Like this soul is like where that soul is, and where she's playing, which is still much more timelines based on separation, on duality, on fear, really matrix. And I don't play there. Sometimes I see myself falling back in some fear timelines, but I can alchemize and pull myself back. And that's also like a learning, that's a journey. So here the gap is happening. So when we come in with a certain frequency, so let's now say my text messages, my voice messages, and then the email. I mean, Shanti, what the fuck was I thinking? Anyway, so when we come in, and that's a complete different frequency, I'm coming from a complete different grid, playground version of Earth, and she's playing in here, and we playing here, then can you see that there's no alignment, that it's this? So we can only find alignment when we are here, and what can happen is that we can meet each other in the middle, but there is some point that we cannot meet each other at the middle any longer because the gap is too big. So when the difference is this, we can do this. Like I can lower a little bit and she can higher a little bit, or sometimes I need to lower a little bit and then my mentor needs to higher, like, you get what you understand what I mean. So in that stage, in that point in December, we couldn't find each other in the middle anymore. There was no longer any resonance. And when that happens, that's actually when timelines are collapsing. That's where people can very abruptly leave our grids. And when we sometimes remove ourselves from certain grids and relationships, of course. And that's what happens. So energetically, I know, I understand it, I feel it, I see it. Again, I want to bring in the human aspects, because for the human and for my heart and for my soul, this was still very painful. This was not nice to experience. So there was a sacred no, and that sacred no resulted in me no longer tolerating that, resulting in unfriending on Facebook, resulting in no longer following on Instagram, resulting in deleting from newsletters, resulting in really now following through in dissolving that timeline. Because here is the thing, I never ever have to go back to those grids. That doesn't mean I don't love that soul. I don't particularly like the human at this stage, but I do love her soul, and I see the soul. I love her, but I want to dissolve this. I no longer want to tolerate this. So I can no longer allow these energetics in my field, and that's what I've done. That's a full sacred no. And that no created also a lot of spaciousness in a complete different way. And opening my heart, and no longer holding on to past timelines, which are fear-based. And each time when I saw that version of me surfacing, it happened like 2 or 3 times in the past couple of weeks, I felt this call of like, again, contacting or doing something. I did not do that. And yeah, that like it's slowly dissolving, and then at one point it will be completely, it's gone. And that's creating spaciousness, because these fear-based timelines, they are collapsing from my fields. And there's only 2 ways we co-create, we create. That's either in fear or that's in love. And of course, there are many other frequencies we can play with in between. But it always comes back in fear and love. And it comes back to us. What am I choosing? Because I'm the conscious quantum creator. I'm a sovereign being. I'm choosing. I have a free will. So what am I choosing? When I become the witness and I can observe the field and the movie and the play and my canvas, then I can redirect differently. Then I can choose to feel the fear, but not feed the fear. So I sometimes feel it, but I'm not feeding it. So I start then to witness it. Detach, detach, detach. The more we do that, the more outside world is also changing. It will change because everyone who is still like fully anchored in those timelines and really playing there, they will no longer be in resonance, and that's okay. Again, we let them go, and we let those places go with so much love and so much compassion. It's okay. So that were the 3 examples that I love to share for today. So it was one example with a co-creation within a container that I was in as participant as well. It was a client example, and then it was a co-creation in one of my beautiful containers and business. So they were completely different, but they all came back to feeling, seeing, knowing, believing, the witnessing, the spaciousness that's the spaciousness that's just there once I started to say that sacred no. And here I want to look back to receive beyond what we say no to, because we cannot see it yet. So once we start to say the no, so much will appear. But the no and doing things that are no longer in soul alignment, that's actually keeping so much out of our fields. Again, I want to look back for any coaches and mentors and practitioners that are listening to this. And when you're still here, thank you so much, because it's becoming quite a long transmission. But I wanna share this once more. I'm directed to share this once more. For every client that you're co-creating with, that you're working with, that you're facilitating sessions for, that is not soul aligned, there are about 8 beautiful beings that are unable to enter your field. Just let that sink in. Let that sink in. So it's not selfish to say no. It's not selfish to follow your intuition. It's not selfish to honor the language of your body. It's not selfish to follow the whispers of your heart. As long as we navigate these changes with love, compassion, and respect, nothing can happen. Only beauty can unfold. Only more abundance can unfold. More wealth, better health, more freedom, more liberation, more joy, more happiness, more openness. New worlds will literally be opening for you, because they're already here. They are already here, and I've experienced it now, like myself again, and new layers and new levels, and it's mind-blowing. So yes, the sacred no is so important, which is all coming back to soul aligned boundaries, right? Is there anything else? Yeah, I would like to finish this transmission with a question for you. And the question I love to ask you is the version that you are the day to day, the version that's watching this transmission, the version that you grew into in the past couple of years, months, days. That version of yourself here in this now moment. What is she or he still tolerating in your fields, which is actually no longer solar lines? May this be relationships with family, with friends, with colleagues. May this be your job or certain projects, your living space, items, clothing, anything, food. What's no longer in alignment, but you are fearing or challenged to say a sacred no? And just feel into that with your heart. And when you do this, you can simply take a few deep breaths into your heart, closing your eyes, placing your hands on your heart, and feel into your body and into that version that you are. What is it? And then when you feel ready, the change will only happen when you start to change these relationships. Let go of these items. Find that new job. Start that business. Make that video. Jump online live. Only then. And that version of you that you are right now, oh my gosh, she is so fucking ready. She is so ready to really, really start living that. And to start to stay in the now moment, to start to be present fully in the here and in the now. No distractions from the past. No saying yes whilst your body is actually telling you to say a no. So that you can enjoy your own company. And truly, truly stay present in the now. And once we stay present in the now, we will become even more aware with so much ease, with so much flow, when our body is saying that sacred yes or that sacred no. Because that's it. But we need to honor it. We need to implement it. We need to integrate it. We actually need to create and make the change. We actually need to take the action. So start with feeling into what's no longer in alignment with the version that you are right now. And then, if you would like to receive any support in this journey, next week, Tuesday, exactly a week from now, I'm starting this beautiful container, 6 weeks mentorship. It's called The Artist. And it's exactly about this. Boundaries. Grounding in our feminine. Making our sensuality our superpower. Staying present in the now. Learning to say sacred no's. Learning to trust our body. And I'm actually not gonna tell you how to do it exactly. I'm gonna give some examples, but what will be shown to you is different ways, and then you will explore what's working for you. Because that's it. What's working for me does not necessarily have to work for you. That's the beauty. We are energetic beings. And everyone's energetic field, everyone's aura is working differently. Everyone is playing in their own field on their own individual earth, version of earth. I merely will hold a mirror for you to start playing with more joy, more flow, more ease, more grace. And it's a mentorship, which I'm also very excited about. And this mentorship will never happen for the amount that I'm now asking for the container, because initially I marketed it as a program, and then as I was feeling into it, I felt that a mentorship is more aligned. And the reason why is, in a mentorship I will be guiding much more, mentoring much more individually in the group, Telegram group that we have. So here on a daily basis we can really unpack, and this is where the shift's happening. So I feel so excited about this. If you do have any questions, then please contact me. The link to more information about the mentorship, the artist, is also in my link in bio. But you can also just DM me, and then I will forward you more information. And if you do have any questions, then I will answer them. Don't shy away. But it would be very, very beautiful for the souls that do feel ready to come join us. And it would be an absolute honor to create and co-create with you during these 6 weeks. Thank you so much for watching. And we truly get what we tolerate, and we receive beyond what we say no to. That's how I want to finish this transmission. Sending you all lots of love and